that third quarter must have been pretty gut-wrenching.
Oh yeah, well, becoming three-quarter specialists, so that's clearly a massive issue for us, and it's a massive challenge that we've got to address. There's no point shying away from the fact that we played 9 pretty good quarters in 3 games and 3 pretty diabolical quarters. So that there's a specific reason for that. We've got to address that, and we've got to rise to the challenge, because if basically we've got 2 options, we can hang our heads and talk about what ifs and if onlys, or we can address the challenge head on and get on the front foot and resurrect our season. Because the reality is there's only so long we can keep saying, oh, our best is pretty good, because our best is pretty good, but the risk is that we're becoming a side that when things are going our way we look very good, but when things don't go our way we capitulate. So we've got to fix that, and fix it now.
What disappointed you the most about the third quarter?
They kicked 11 goals. It's the main thing. And we couldn't get our hands on the ball. But I said that last week in the press conference against Geelong in the third quarter. So, we cannot be a side that when we win the ball and we're playing well, we score, but if we don't, the opposition do. So, we restricted Sydney for the whole game apart from that third quarter, and good sides do that. They hang in. Even when we were playing well, Sydney were able to hang in, and they took full advantage when we dropped our guard.
Brad, have you identified any sort of similarities or trends over the first 3 weeks and in what's letting you down, or is it something different cropping up?
Well, you could be really simplistic and say, well, it's just third quarters. But I mean, I'm not a believer in that. I mean, we'll certainly review things forensically to make sure that we're across absolutely everything. But it's the truth of the matter is contest by contest. They kick goals, it goes back into the centre, it's a neutral ball, and 2 weeks in a row we've been badly beaten in centre bounces in the third quarter, so that's an issue for us. But you're going to lose centre bounces. You're not going to win, every single one. So we've just got to make sure that we're not being badly hurt when we're not on top, that we can hold up like the Swans did in the second quarter when we were clearly on top. But we kicked 3 goals 6 from about 18 entries, I think, 18 inside 50. So they held up in the second quarter, and we couldn't do the same in the third quarter when they had the wind.
At half time, did you talk about last week's third quarter?
No, more about the way we wanted to set the game up in the third quarter, and we were certainly ready for the challenge. When we left the rooms, we were ready, and we started the third quarter okay. But then when the avalanche came, we didn't have enough players who were able to stand up and stem the flow, and we made plenty of changes in the third quarter, but none of them worked, unfortunately. So we'll go back and have a really close look at it.
Do you feel helpless as a coach when a team gets a roll like that against yourself?
No. I mean, the role of coach is to help the players, and we tried to help them as much as we could in terms of numbers back and different matchups and different guys through the centre square. And the third quarter is not the players' fault. I mean, they've got to execute. I mean, they've got a part to play. But the way the third quarter unfolded is my responsibility, and I've got to go back and review myself very closely to make sure that I did what was necessary to stem the flow. And if the answer is, well, I did what was necessary, then why haven't I coached the players well enough to execute that? So that'll be a long process, I suspect.
Was there a moment or a contest or anything that sticks out in your mind as being maybe a tipping point, or was something where you were beginning to sort of be more concerned?
No, we just lost some critical contests and crumbing situations where they were able to run onto the footy, and we were really conscious of covering the middle in the third quarter, and repeatedly they were able to run midfielders into that space to get used or get to the fall of the ball, and we didn't defend that situation well. So even irrespective of the fact we had a number back, so we had an extra number back, they still outnumbered us at the contest, which is extremely disappointing.
You've obviously got a pretty young group. Could it also be an on-field leadership team?
Oh, they're outstandingly led by Andrew Swallow again, who played his part, today, as he always does, and we know what we're going to get from him. Probably something against the Swans that they bat very, very deep, through the midfield. They make very few changes to their team even their young guys come in and play roles for them. And I think of Parker and Hanbury. They're very good players in their own right, but they're playing support roles to their on-field generals in there. And we're asking Parker and Hanbury's equivalent. One of them's our vice captain, Jack C, but we're asking them to lead for us at this young age. So that's challenging right at the moment, but it will hold us in very good stead for the future. But right at the moment, I don't have one eye on the future. I've got both eyes firmly fixed on the present, and we've got to fix what's going on at the moment.
It sounds like you don't take any comfort out of the fact you've run into three of the really big guns early.
The only comfort I take from playing the reigning premiers for the previous 3 years in a row is that we've got a challenge that's clearly being presented to us, and if we played three lesser sides and got away with 3 wins on the back of our good footy, we wouldn't be addressing this challenge that's before us of being able to halt a side's momentum when we lose it. So that's the only solace I take, that we're going to learn a very, very tough lesson, and it leaves a bitter feeling with all the players. But at least we address this now, and we don't kid ourselves that we're playing pretty good footy, when the reality is we're doing 90% of things right, but the 10%'s slaughtering us. Thanks, guys.